When reviewing the sentencing factors as outlined under 29-29-11 and 29-29-12, my job as a judge here is to punish the offender, but also to make sure that the sentence should be proportionate and not demeaning to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and the impact on the victims, and consistent with other sentences with similar crimes. In looking at the seriousness, of course, the child's age and the suffering weigh heavily for this court as well. And so with respect to my sentencing, after taking in consideration all the matters before the court that are appropriate under the principles and purposes of sentencing, the court's going to impose the following sentence. Starting with count 2, as found guilty on count 2 of murder, it's a life with parole eligibility at 15 years. On count 3, the murder charge under the B section, it's life with parole eligibility at 15 years. And those are the maximum sentences that can be handed down on those 2 counts. On count 4, with respect to the Reagan-Toke sentencing guidelines, count 4 and count 8 are both felonies of the second-degree felonious assault. We also speak to count 5, which was the endangering children as a felony of the second degree. And then we speak to count 7 and 6. The state and I have agreed that I will move forward with count 7. Under count 7, under the Reagan-Toke sentencing guidelines on the attempted murder in count 7, the court's going to hand down the maximum sentence of 11 years as the minimum sentence to the indefinite sentence of 16 and a half years. Again, I've outlined the Reagan-Toke guidelines and the reporting requirements for post-release control that will be controlling on all other felonies of the second and first degree, this being the highest level. I've outlined the 5 provisions, as I noted for the record already. And then with respect to the count 4 and 8, the maximum sentence is 8 years. I'll hand down that sentence. Count 5, 8 years. Count 6, 11 years. Count 8, 8 years. And then as indicted, count 10, which would be a 6-month sentence on the misdemeanor charge. Regarding aggravated murder and finding the defendant guilty of aggravated murder by this jury, the court's going to hand down a sentence of life without parole. I'll run every other sentence concurrent to life without parole. Ms. Ellis, you'll be given credit to 509 days of the time that you've served. I'll order you in the custody of the sheriff to transport you to Marysville Correctional Facility. I'll also indicate that fines, fees, and court costs will be waived with respect to this sentence. In addition to the verdict that has been handed down by this jury and the sentence that the court handed down, Ms. Ellis, you have a right to appeal both the sentence and the conviction in this case. You can do that by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk of courts within 30 days of this sentence. If you're unable to pay for the cost of an appeal, you have the right to appeal without payment of costs. If you're unable to obtain counsel for an appeal, I'll appoint counsel to represent you. If you're unable to pay the cost of documents necessary, they are provided to you without cost. You have a right to a notice of appeal filed timely on your behalf. And Ms. Ellis or counsel, do you wish to appeal both the sentence and the conviction handed down in this case?
Yes, Your Honor. No objection for the record and appoint counsel for the appeal.
I'll note your objection regarding my sentence, and knowing that she's unable to afford counsel, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent her with respect to her appeal. Again, noting for the record, all counts will be run concurrent to each other, with the life without parole being count 1 sentence. I'll waive all fines, fees, and court costs, give her credit for the 509 days that she served, in addition to time while she awaits her transportation to Marysville Correctional Facility for Women. Is there anything further from the state of Ohio before we recess?
No, Your Honor.
Anything on behalf of Ms. Ellis?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we adjourn. Thank you.